Control of sudden instant. Operation section of CFO 100. In this lecture, you can learn controlling of sudden instants. When operating a real business, you are faced with unexpected situation and trouble suddenly happening and affecting the company's operation. Those negative impacts frequently occur in developing countries due to the volatility of lives. Still, even in developed countries, it is one issue that companies must deal with. Since sudden incidents stop the operation and have a financial impact, CFO is involved in the discussion for controlling such kinds of issues. In this lecture, you can learn the basic reporting process and the typical example of the action for facility damage. Before moving to that specific topics, you can see the image below. Many potential sudden incidents have the impact on business continuity. The riot caused by political issues stopped the operation. Machines for production may become down as facility damage. Accident of injury and safety is the typical issue in construction and production. The spreading of COVID is one example of a natural disaster influencing business operation. It would help if you understood that proper first action is always the key for every item. Specifically, reporting line for sudden incidents should be structured, and it would be best if you prepared an emergency policy for typical incidents. External assessment is helpful in knowing the pain points. A sudden accident causes enormous losses and makes the company difficult to survive. To calculate the impact and risk, financial information and knowledge are needed. It is not an issue only for the operation staff. In the next slide, you can see the example of reporting sequence, and then how to control facility damages. Those two are basics model of reporting and handling the sudden incident. In both examples, you will be aware of that safety and human lives are the most priority. Even though you have different sudden incidents, you can utilize this basic structure to take action and prepare your internal procedure rules. In this slide, you can see the reporting sequence and prioritization. When you have a sudden accident as injury or safety, reporting speed and the route is crucial for controlling the total impact of the incident. Among various sudden incidents, a simple safe or injury accident is relatively common and a good example of understanding the general reporting route. You can also use this example as reporting practice for other sudden accidents. As the injury and safety accidents, you can imagine a person breaking an arm by a machine. At the time of the accident, rescue people, firefighters, and the technical staff to solve the accident and save the life are the most critical, so the first reporting line is to get their help. At this stage, 1 second and 1 minute are crucial to resolving the issue and saving the workers' lives. It would help to remember that life is the most priority in this and the other phases. The following reporting line is the police, governmental bodies, lenders, shareholders, and insurance companies to comply with the legal obligations. A legally binding contract has a clause to determine reporting rules. For example, the SHA insurance policy and the loan agreement include that type of clause regarding accidents. If you do not comply with that legal obligation, it is a breach of the contract and has an impact as unnecessary loss or adverse effects. And the following reporting line is business partners and the other related parties. The purpose is to mitigate the business impact. As your company is associated with that human accident, generally speaking, an injury and safety accident doesn't have the effect of stopping the production line. However, in some cases, it causes controversial discussion in society and in publicly. You need to control the reputation of your company, especially for business partners. And the other critical related parties will be next. The next priority is media and other stakeholders reporting. The purpose is to control the indirect impact, mainly by media broadcasting. Significantly, this incident harms the operation and the reputation of the company, so the proper announcement to media press is essential to control the negative result. The most important thing is to mitigate that human accident's total cost and impact. The critical thing is respecting their life. If you handle the calamity in a manner that you don't respect the preciousness of the human life and body, it causes a huge impact and loss for that company. Please keep that image of reporting line in this example. It can give you the general image of the prioritization for the reporting. Companies need to have such emergency reporting line rules. Certain incidents related to safety and injury can be properly handled with that existing reporting lines. In the next slide, you learn the mitigation of the impact of an accident with facility damage. It requires a much more complicated process to control the result and loss of the incident. On this page, you can learn about controlling of negative impact resulting from a sudden incident related to a failure of a production facility. That is a typical sudden incident that causes significant losses for companies. However, the proper actions can mitigate the impact on your business. If the company does not take the appropriate action, it causes indirect following adverse effects on the company. You can see the picture in the middle of the slide. The roof of the factory has been broken. The production factory has been stopped due to this issue. It can give you an image of the type of incident. You can see the following sequence of necessary actions to mitigate the impact of the sudden incident. Of course, those actions are after tackling to escape from the danger and stop the incident spreading. After taking those measures, the first action is reporting to the following lines of production or customers. If your production line consists of many plants and factories and different production lines, and if customers are waiting for your products, you need to take action to mitigate the impact of those parties. Otherwise, their factories also have a negative effect from your sudden incident. If you lose the trust of those customers, it is a significant impact on your business. And if it causes actual loss for the customer may claim to your company. In the next step, it is action to preserve the facility and report to the producer of the facility and the insurance company about the incident. Even though that failure happened due to the natural disaster or another impact, it might be caused by the product mechanics. So the data, pictures, and parts should be collected and preserved for the RCA, root cause analysis process. The RCA process is essential to detect the main reason for the failure, and it is related to the following procedure to receive insurance or compensation. In the third process, you may need to inform your shareholders and board of directors about that incident. It depends on the relationship with the company and the shareholder. If the connection is intense and they are hands-on management, you must report the fact to the shareholders and the board of directors. They sometimes give you instruction to tackle the problem using their own network. It sometimes helps the company to recover from the incident. As the next item, you try to start the process to receive money from the insurance company. Generally speaking, the receiving process takes time and delayed with the documentation and checking facts. It has an impact on the cash flow and the operation, so you should take earlier action for this item. And then, the next step is proceeding a recovery plan and claim to the product producer. The basic thing is repairing and replacing the facility as soon as possible, but it sometimes takes time to get the spare parts, and the producer of the product may deny their responsibility even after RCA. The company needs to calculate the financial impact caused by this sudden incident. When you look at the financial implications, the most crucial part is cash flow. Without a cash balance, it causes the sudden death of the company. It is critical to check the cash flow. If you need to have a lot of cash, you get help from the bank or shareholders. As an overall picture, once you have a sudden incident in your factory facility, the important thing is mitigating the additional damage to the company. It might be the reputation damage, a claim from the customer, and the long production pending. It may be receiving insurance money as delayed. Mitigating those following impacts and surviving is the concept of the action items to tackle the sudden incident.